Good Monday morning! Mondays with Mark here at Green Bay Botanical Garden. I'm Mark Conlock, Director of Horticulture here. And behind the camera, Rachel! She's going to check out here, pan around, and show you all of the annuals. Well, not all of them, but a good majority of the annuals that we have to plant here at Green Bay Botanical Garden. So we are thinking now about switching out our bulbs. We've been deadheading them like you might have seen. And we'll be lifting them out of the ground and drying them back here, and then we'll be flipping over to our annuals. So one thing I'm a little concerned about is these cooler temperatures. Like, it was really nice and hot and warm on Saturday up here in the Green Bay area, then yesterday plummeted, and then if you check the forecast ahead, you'll see there's going to be some really cool nights. So we're trying to decide, what exactly we should do with all the plants we have outside here, and if we should start planting them in the ground. So it's going to be a bit of a balance between the cool night temperatures and the fact that we have to get stuff done. So you might have the same situation at your house. If you have like peppers, tomatoes, eggplants, solanaceae family crops that like it warmer, you might want to think about maybe you don't want to plant them quite yet and wait like through the weekend or if it gets warmer before you put them in the ground, because it's a lot easier to move this little pack into a garage or even your house or whatever versus digging it out of the ground and putting it in there. The other thing I want to quick show you, while I'm on the topic, is if you have already planted stuff in the ground and you do see it's going to be ridiculously cold out at night, you can cover it with, a lot of people use a blanket. We use this little fabric stuff here called Remay, and we just usually put it on our plants and tuck it under. But you can do the same thing like in the ground if you have a planting in the ground too. So you might need to think about covering it. If you have planted your containers or bought your containers, because it was Mother's Day, big shopping day for plants, maybe you'll be able to just bring those into your garage or like somewhere else inside if it gets super cold, because they're a little more movable, or sometimes people have them on wheels even if they're geniuses. But you still want to get gardening, right? So we have some of our plants out here, and I wanted to show you a couple ideas for building your own container if you haven't already done that. One of the tried and true methods they call is the thriller, filler, spiller. And our former executive director, first executive director, check out the history book, also has the chiller, Glenn Spivacek, famous chiller. So in this little combination here, I'm showing you some of the plants that we actually have for sale at our spring flower market, which is June 4th from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's going to be that Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday. So the plants here, from this black and bloom salvia through the Dusty Miller and the coleus and the petunia and the grass, are ones we're going to have for sale. So I wanted to kind of show you some ideas I came up with of these plants of how you can make your own container. So no matter where you are, spring flower market, not the spring flower market. If you look for things like this, would be maybe our thriller. It has that cool foliage, chartreuse, it really stands out. Though the black and bloom salvia is also kind of cool as a thriller, it has that really awesome black calyx to the flower. And by the way, this guy is also a hummingbird magnet. They love those tubular flowers. A lot of times they love red flowers, but they also like these blue guys. I see a lot of hummingbirds on there. And also those like crazy moths that you see on there. What are they called, those moths, Rachel?
I have no idea.
All right, they're a moth that's out in the daytime, and I should know the name of it, but I forgot. Then this other coleus here is new this year that I picked out because it's called L'Afrique coleus. I love the name of that thing. And the other cool thing about this is look how it kind of color echoes the wasabi coleus. So I like having those subtle color echoes in there, though that's not so subtle with the chartreuse foliage. And then there's this color blitz blue petunia that'll get a little bit, that's kind of like one of our fillers, So we got a lot of thrillers, but this guy is a filler. This guy's definitely a filler. And then we got our spiller is the bacopa here. That guy will kind of hang over the edge of the pot. So that helps like tie your pot to the ground. And typically the plants that you have is your bigger guys in there, which are usually your thrillers. You want to be about 2/3 the overall height of the pot plant combination to kind of keep it in scale. You don't want something that gets like ginormously big, or sometimes just like small where it looks like, okay, why did you have a huge pot for just this little baby plant? And then the other thing that would be kind of a filler in here would be our Dusty Miller. It got a little waterlogged. It's usually a little bit more silver than that, and it has that pubescent foliage. So it also kind of adds an element of like touch into your container, which is kind of a cool thing. And if you have a container by a patio or something, you might also want to have a fragrant flower in there. And the other quick combination I didn't finish it, but there is this La Rambla Main Street Coleus. That's a new name for Coleus. It used to be Solenostrum, now it's Plectranthus. But look at this, because this also has this sun patient here, fire red, and it color echoes the interior of that Coleus. So I love how that works together. And these sun patients are really awesome plants because they're like an impatient hybrid that can take sun through shade. So like any kind of combination of sun to almost full shade they can take. Part shade's a little better because they'll bloom better. But that's pretty amazing plant to be able to use like that. And the Coleus have been bred to be full sun now to, you know, part shade to full shade too. So that's what's awesome, is you don't really have to worry so much about the exposure of where you're putting these guys. So that's some of the plants we have for sale here. The other thing I just wanted to point out quick that we also are going to be selling are these grasses here. This guy here is called Majestic, and this thing gets huge. It's like can get up to 6 feet tall. So that's something that you could like have in a really humongous container just by itself, as just straight up Thriller, Michael Jackson style, only the Thriller. Or you could put this in a garden bed actually amongst your perennials and shrubs and things like that, even to give you like this different texture, and this will get to be a little bit darker color too as it grows. So I love incorporating these guys here into planting beds. So that's another thing to think about with all your annuals in general, but especially these really big tropical looking ones when you're out there shopping, is you're flipping out your spring garden to your summer garden. Just remember to keep an eye on the temperatures in the next week here, but hopefully by the time this spring flower market comes around on June 4th, you will be golden and good to go and pick out whatever annuals you want to grow in the ground, because the temperatures won't be a problem anymore. So those are just a couple of tips for containers and for picking out your annuals. For more information, check out our website, gbbg.org, and our Facebook.